All right, 508-996-0500. You're up next on WBSM. Thanks for hanging on.
Hi, Barry. This is Hank Turgeon from the Bedford Police Union.
Hank Turgeon, how are you?
Good, and you, Barry?
Good. I've been sending messages all over the place. Tell Hank to call me. Tell Hank to call me.
I know. I've been getting those messages, Barry. Unfortunately, I've been working and haven't been able to get through. And the topic that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
It is an ongoing investigation. And
Hank Turgeon, by the way, for those who don't know, is you're still the president, right, of the police union, patrolmen's
as of
union.
Today, yes, I'm still the union president.
Okay.
As of today.
All right. So we've been talking an awful lot about the police over the last few days, so what's your take on what happened last Thursday?
Well, first I want to thank you and Chris McCarthy. WBSM has definitely made a strong effort to make this vicious attack on a police officer and a whole neighborhood newsworthy. The silence from our administration has been extremely frustrating, and without you guys coming forward with it, it would still be silent. So I thank you, Barry, and thank Chris for doing his reporting on it as well. It's tough. It is an ongoing investigation. I can't talk about the specifics of the case, but now that the mayor and the chief have, come out and acknowledged it, our members they were extremely angry that we weren't all notified. There was a bolo, as the chief described it to you, put out over the terminals, but that was it. So you hit the nail on the head with one of your first shows, I think even your second show, saying a guy at home, a guy on a detail, a girl, they had no clue that this was going on. And this guy could have left that housing area and could have went and set up shop somewhere else and waited for his next victim. Thankfully, he didn't, and we're all safe right now. So
that's the thing that has sent the most concern through me, is the fact that if you guys were allowed to go out on the street on Thursday and you had not been notified of this, there could be somebody out there on the street just wanting to hunt police officers, and you had no knowledge. The chief and the mayor have both said that a bolo went out. The mayor today, I think he said within an hour of the incident, which is factually not true, that a bolo went out. Be on the lookout for those. But the bolo didn't get into any detail about why they were looking for this guy, right?
They put out information about a car that was wanted, and that was it. So what we've done, Barry, and I know the chief was, trying to impress on you how let's get beyond this. Let's not think about the past. Well, that past mistake, somebody dropping the ball in the chief's administration and not sending out an alert to everybody, could have caused the life of a police officer. Civilians could have got hurt in a crossfire. So what we did is the union sent a recommendation to the chief on how he could use a app that we all have on our phones for details and overtime, and they have the ability to do a push notification that would go straight through to every officer's phone. And we sent that recommendation to him, and we haven't gotten a response back. So hopefully he'll utilize it, but we don't know if he will. I should have called your show when he was on there and see if he would answer me then.
Yeah. I can't help but thinking that, again, the thought that you guys were out on the street having no knowledge that there was somebody with a gun that was out there potentially looking for you. I mean, that sends chills up my spine. I've got friends who are police officers, and, the thought of that. I mean, you guys face that anyway, every day when you go out there. But to have somebody, the chief, have knowledge that there was a guy out there who had just pumped 8 bullets into a police officer's apartment and then not tell you guys of that. I mean, in my opinion, that's negligence. It really is. And I'm not looking to put words in your mouth, because I've said this over the last few days. I've written about it online. But in my opinion, that's negligence.
Well, we've tried to make a recommendation to make sure that doesn't happen again. Hopefully the chief heeds our recommendation. He takes the steps to make sure if a horrible incident like this happens that we're protected. But when the mayor tells you on your show that the reason why they didn't put it out to the public, they didn't do a press release, is because they felt that it was safe, I don't know how anybody could have thought that. We didn't have the guy in custody. This guy's still out there. He's still a threat. As far as I know, I haven't been told he's in custody as of now, so he's still a threat. How can the mayor say we didn't release it to you guys for hours or days because someone deemed it not to be a threat? Who deemed that to not be a threat?
Well, apparently the police chief and the mayor. Apparently the police chief, and in hearing the mayor this afternoon, he said straight out he endorsed the chief's decision. So apparently the chief and the mayor felt that it was safe and was not a threat to anybody. And it just blows my mind.
I think the easier path for them would have been, listen, we made a mistake, and moving forward, let's do this, this, and this. The chief wanted to have coffee with you. He wants to find a way to have a good relationship with you so that the press release gets out to you faster. I think that's only so he can control the information that you're putting out. We've said, and I think I said it on one of the 2 times I called your show, Barry. I've said it on Chris's show, and we put it out in some of our union Facebook pages. This mayor purposely hired a civilian public information officer so that he could sugarcoat the crimes. And if you look at the Latin King raid, I said that if you don't tell the public the crimes that are going on, they get lured into a false sense of security. They leave their car doors unlocked. They leave their windows open. Now the criminal can easily get at their targets. We have a rash of car breaks going on. Not that they're smashing windows, they're just checking for open doors. Tell the public crime is happening. Let them be worried about it. Let them be on alert and secure their property. Let them look at their neighbor's house. Who's that strange guy? But if you sugarcoat the statistics and you don't tell the neighborhoods, the city that there's crime, everyone thinks it's all hunky-dory. And I know why. They want tourism. They want the tourists to come in.
Right.
I understand that, but it's
there's no bad news in John Mitchell's New Bedford. I mean, no bad news can get out. If we put it out, we get criticized by the mayor. But you know what? Something else that struck me too. Well, before I even get to that, the point that you're making right now is, it's a solid point. People know there's crime going on out there. So the administration and the chief will come out and they'll come on the program. Oh, crime is down. Everything's safe. This is a safe city. But people see things going on and they wonder why we're not telling them about it. And I mean, they see shootings and stabbings and drug deals and bank robberies that don't make it into the press because somebody puts a lid on it. So they know something's going on out there. We're not reporting it to them. The paper is like out in La La Land somewhere. And the political people are in the chief. They're not telling them what's happening. So they can't trust. They don't feel as though they can trust the government or the police department sometimes. And you guys wind up getting the flack for that because it's all painted with one broad brush. You know, it's the police, you know?
Well, Barry, again, I'm going to go back to my original statement. I thank you and the staff at WBSM. Of course, Chris is a friend of mine. Everyone knows that. So I thank you guys for going above and beyond on this story and making sure that it's not just about one police officer. This is an attack on the backbone of our society, that thin blue line between calm and chaos. Somebody decides to shoot 8 holes through it, and our administration's been very quiet about it.
Let me just ask you, Hank, and we had the address immediately, and we had the name of the officer, and we have not put it out there. We chose not to do it for obvious reasons, and I won't today. But just how is the officer doing? I mean, this is going to be, kind of a psychological thing to deal with, right? Somebody does this, and then it's all over the radio for the next 4 or 5 days. How's the officer doing handling all of this?
He's doing fantastic. I know his father called Chris's show earlier today.
Yeah.
When he's not going to be scared out of there. He's standing tall. He's part of that neighborhood. He's got friends in that neighborhood. That's his home. So he's not going to be scared away. I don't know if that was their tactic, if that's the reason why this incident happened. And I don't know if we'll ever know, but he's standing tall. So
what does this say to you about a neighborhood?
Our members are behind him.
Well, what does it say about a neighborhood like that? I mean, we're all familiar with that particular neighborhood. When nobody reports this, I asked the mayor about that. You know, I can envision, as a kid, I lived there. I lived on Yale Street as a kid, so I know the neighborhood. I know what goes on there. A lot of those apartment units are filled with single women, elderly people, maybe people with disabilities, but there are a lot of small children around there. And 3 o'clock in the morning, pop, 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 pop. Somebody had to hear that. I know the shot spotter didn't go off or whatever, but somebody had to hear what's going on, and nobody picked up the phone. That says to me that people are living in total fear in that neighborhood.
Yeah. So had they gotten the message that keep their mouths shut? I don't know. Is it possible that 3 o'clock in the morning, most of them were sleeping and they weren't sure what they just heard, and then they don't hear cruisers coming to the scene, so they say, oh, maybe it was nothing. The troubling part is we pay big money for Shot Spotter, and majority of times it's a very efficient tool for us to use. For that to not pick up 8 shots is incredible.
Absolutely.
I mean, I would hope, and I'm sure that the chief has gone back and said, you know, hey, Ron Teachman, now that you're a Shot Spotter, how come we had this problem? 8 rounds fired and we didn't get that call?
I don't know if you heard him on the air with Chris yesterday, the executive director of the Massachusetts Police Association, James Machado. It was his assessment that this was a warning or some kind of a message to police in general, and not necessarily aimed at this one particular officer. Do you think somebody was sending a message to you guys?
Without a doubt, but I think one of your callers earlier had hit the nail on the head that because of what we've gone through in the last year, because of all of the issues that were brought up, defunding the police are bad, we're out there, we just want to murder people, that the society is being desensitized to attacks on police officers. And when you have an administration that doesn't want to report incidents like the police officers that were all shot at over on Penniman Street, Clark Street area, they were very quiet about that incident. They didn't go above and beyond, and that's national news. That was, again, an attack on the thin blue line between calm and chaos. And we got very little from this administration. And it's a very smart tactic. I should probably adopt it, is that when something bad comes up that they don't want to face, they just ignore you guys. And if they figure, if I can go a news cycle or 2 without responding, they'll let it go. Thankfully, WBSM has now made this, 4 days of reporting on the same topic, that they had to respond. They had no other choice but to respond.
Yeah. You know, another caller made a solid point too, Hank, and that is, you know, a leader would have gone out there on Thursday morning, called a press conference and said, look, this is what we can tell you. There's a lot we can't tell you, but you know what? Let this go as a message and a warning to others who might be thinking about doing this. We stand with our police. This is not going to be tolerated in the city of New Bedford. We're going to hunt you down. We're going to prosecute you, and we're not going to accept this kind of behavior in our city. That's what a leader would have done, and we didn't have that.
And not just to lead the police department. That brings some calm to the neighbors, to the little old lady, 80 years old, that happens to live maybe right on the edge of that housing area, and now she gets word of it, and she's terrified in her house, and she hasn't heard the chief of police talk about it. She hasn't heard from the mayor. The chief of police and mayor were so proud to do their walk and talk down on the North Front Street area after somebody had fired AK-47s, but they did it with the several police officers around them, escorting them. So, yeah, it's easy to do it then. How come they haven't gone to that neighborhood and gone around and said, hey, little Miss 80-year-old woman, I'm sorry that this was frightening for you, but we're on top of it.
Yeah. Hey, appreciate your call.
Keep up the work. No, I thank you, and hopefully we can resolve this. Hopefully the chief will respond to us and how he'll make sure that the message can get out quicker, and hopefully this guy is in custody. If he's not already, he's in custody soon, hopefully.
Let's hope. Hank Turgeon, the union president for the patrolmen here in the city of New Bedford. Appreciate you calling in, Hank.
Thank you, Barry.